From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Armchair Experts with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Wednesday, January the 21st, the year of our Lord, 2015.
All right.
And now here they are, Jim and Rich.
I'm glad you reminded me of the date and where we are. Gee, we got a few things to talk about today. Where should we begin?
Good to see you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you for the year of our Lord.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Thank you. We give blessings.
Yes.
Once again. We get in trouble for saying that? Or?
I don't. I hope. Well, I don't care.
I don't know. I don't care either.
I thought I had. I'm in the United States.
That's right.
I have free speech, as far as I knew.
Last I checked, that was still in there. They haven't changed that yet, have they?
Nah, not yet.
No.
It may be coming, but not yet.
Yeah. So let's see. We got the Bears have a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Cubs have a new center fielder. The Bulls are playing like I don't know what. Where do we begin?
Well, just kick it off, buddy. What do you want to talk about first? I don't care.
No, you choose tonight. You choose.
No,
I'm in.
You know what?
I'm in a giving mood. You know.
I was going to. I actually want to start off with a question for you. Is it just the Chicago media, or is it media in all cities that are so bereft of anything to speak about that they had to make a big deal out of the fact that apparently John Fox called Jay Cutler Jake sometime in his press conference there?
I heard that yesterday.
I mean, that's really hot. That's hot news.
I was listening to that yesterday. I was listening to the press conference yesterday, and he referred to him as Jake. And I thought, well.
Well, is it possible that either he just slipped and added the K-E and the J, or he could have had his former quarterback, who I've seen quoted quite a bit in the paper the last few days, Jake Delhomme, in mind.
Yeah, there was I think the question was framed with a reference to Jake Delhomme in it too.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit on the Freudian side.
Yeah, I would, I love the way the Chicago. Again, my question is media in all cities that really hard up for things to talk about?
Yeah, everybody needs filler.
Go to Wisconsin and listen to
Were there Packer fans committing suicide on Sunday?
You know what?
Get on the mic. Get on the mic, John. Get on the mic.
I tell you what, my sister and I, we sat and we watched that whole entire game. And even I said to her at halftime, I says, Eileen, I says, I think the Packers have got this game in a bag. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, that fourth quarter, they just exploded. And my sister was telling me the whole week that they were playing songs, Glory to Happiness, and they were all doing marches, and they're all, getting themselves all ready for a big victory on Sunday. And it turned out to be a disaster.
John, I was going to say the visual goat of the whole thing was the poor kid.
Who
couldn't handle the onside kick. But the reality is, I got home and it was about it was already in the fourth quarter, and the first thing I saw was Wilson's fourth interception.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, and then they showed his stats, and I'm like, wow, that's an abysmal game for him.
He was having a horrible game.
You know what? There were the Packers. Forget the onside kick. The Packers shot themselves in the foot so many ways in the last 5 minutes that it was unbelievable.
I'll tell you when they shot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot twice. Mm-hmm. You get the ball inside the one, and you got to wind up with a field goal on two occasions.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though, Jim.
And that was there was your ball game
from the part of the game that I saw after that interception. We're watching the game. The whole family's there, and they all know football, so it's not like you're speaking Chinese or anything. So you know what? The Packers get the ball, and they start this. They just ran it into the line, not even trying to make yards, just the runner sort of giving himself up to the defense. And I said, well, you know what? They're screwing this thing up right here because they're going to give the Seahawks a chance because the Seahawks kept calling timeout, and they were going to get the ball back.
They had three timeouts
with reasonable amount of time. And I said, that's a mistake on the Packers' part. And it came back to bite them, obviously, because we all know what happened. But aside from the guy missing the onside kick, one of the reporters
that he should have been blocking for.
Yeah, he should have been blocking. Which he said. But other than that, the 2-point conversion that the Seahawks made, that ball went up, and I'm thinking, no way is that ball complete. I'm thinking, I didn't know it was Dix at the time, but I'm thinking this defensive back is going to knock it down or pick it off, but it's just too much of a lame duck to.
He didn't even play the ball.
No, and all of a sudden this guy catches it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And the other thing was, I didn't realize it at the time, but one of the reporters, one of the talking heads, talked about it after the game. The last interception, when Burnett intercepted it, he went down immediately. But if you looked at that replay, he probably could have reasonably gone 10, 15, 20 yards upfield. And the reporter questioned that. And I said, that's another great point because, instead of having the ball wherever they had it, if he say he gets 20 yards on that interception, now you're talking about a whole different situation, even if Seattle calls the timeouts and you end up having to give the ball up. You may even have a field goal shot right there, depending on where he would have ended up with the return on the interception. So they just shot themselves in the foot so many times.
I think what happened, gentlemen, is they got overconfidence at the end of the first.
They did.
End of the first, and
at the half.
Yeah, at the half. You're right.
And they should have been up 30-0 at the half.
Yeah.
I was going to say, John, when you had mentioned the radio in Green Bay, the first thing I thought of, though, or up in Wisconsin, first thing I thought of is years ago I would be up in Milwaukee like 5 days a week, and so I'd have what's their big
WTMJ
TMJ up there. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing, when you see a guy like Jay Cutler who gets beat up by the press on a consistent basis here, I always have to sort of chuckle because you'll hear about Brett Favre, the great Brett Favre, which is no doubt
all one word,
a Hall of Famer in the making. But in the early part of his career with the Packers, you would have never known that it's the same Brett Favre that we have today because I would go up there after he'd play a bad game, and they'd be saying, "Get rid of this bum. He stinks. He's terrible," and they wanted him out, and he survived that, and became obviously the legendary player that he is today. But every time I see a guy like Jay Cutler or whoever might be in Jay Cutler's situation in other cities, I sort of have to laugh because it can turn around very quick.
Sometimes, guys, I think the news media, and up there in Wisconsin, WTMJ, which is Channel 4 on television up there, as soon as 10 o'clock comes, the news comes on, they talk nothing but the Green Bay Bears. Almost the whole newscast is all Green Bay Bears up there on Channel 4.
Green Bay Bears.
I mean, Green Bay Packers, I meant to say.
I thought it was, that would be only 2 Sundays out of the year. Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers. And I tell you, I sometimes think that the media jinx these guys.
I don't believe in anything like that. There's 2 things that always bother me on a Sunday when there's a Bear game here. Everything's got to lead with the Bears, and I'm tired. And I assume it's the same thing up there. They got to go talk to people in bars. Those are the last people I want to hear.
Yeah.
Those are the last people I want to hear from. Those are just nothing but more than a bunch of meatballs.
I have to say, though, I think there's something to what John says because I look at our Cubs over the years, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get guys who come in here who've had success as managers or players, and all of a sudden they don't believe in a Wrigley curse. They don't believe in a Cubs curse. But you know what? Somehow they're not able to perform up to the level that they've performed somewhere else, and sometimes
it's
talent
just in
the air. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, if that's the right way to put it.
It's the talent that they put out onto the field. I mean, blaming Bostic for this, for losing the game. it's like blaming Bartman for not, for the 2003 playoffs. You don't look at what happened before. You don't look at the fact that Alex Rodriguez kicked the double play ball away.
Gonzalez Gonzalez Rodriguez.
Alex Gonzalez kicked the ball away, a sure double play, and 8 runs scored. You don't look at the fact that they had the ball twice early in the game inside the 1 and couldn't put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's your ball game.
That's right. That's right.
There's your ball game. Good Lord Almighty, and the idiots on Twitter. The article I read yesterday on Deadspin, the idiots on Twitter threatening this kid.
Oh my God!
Really?
You're kidding me?
Oh my God! Brian Bostic, I'm going to kill you, and there's the guy's picture and his name.
That's Mike Bostic.
Mike I thought it was Brian Bostic.
No.
Oh, Mike Bostic?
You're thinking of Brian Bosworth.
I'm thinking of I can't get names
Mike
right
Bostic.
today. Mike Bostic. Yeah.
I was going to say that, Jim,
that's going a little bit too far.
I don't know if you saw the game, but at the end, Pete Carroll came up and was trying to commiserate with McCarthy, and McCarthy was shaking his hand, but you could see he just didn't want to hear anything Carroll had to say. He wanted to get the heck out of there.
And John,
I believe,
himself.
you know what? I've been intuiting something here, but I'm thinking, you know what? I think he realizes that the decisions that he made probably are the things that caused the Packers to lose the game. And
man,
I think I don't think he was upset with Bostic. I don't think he was upset with his players. I think he was upset with himself.
The camera caught the Packers coach. What's his name? McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
I got that name right.
Yeah, and the camera caught him on one play, and I never seen him such an ugly face, and he like that.
It had to be on that. It had to be on that on the onside kick.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, Jim. Yes. Now come to think of it, it was. But boy, was he upset.
We had. I had the game on radio, and we were doing some things around the house, and we finished up, and I turned the game on TV just after that point, and we sat there and watched the end of the ball game, and the overtime, and I mean that was just amazing.
Yep.
Well, that was quick.
That was,
then I wanted to see the Colts.
When they went out
I wanted to see the Colts and the Patriots. Really,
when they went out for the coin toss and on the overtime, and we're all talking, okay, what's the new rules now for overtime?
Yeah.
And when the referee explained it, I was more confused after he explained it than I was before he explained it.
I thought, okay, when they scored, I thought, okay, now wait a minute, did the Packers get a chance now?
I thought,
and I'm thinking it's like college rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I knew they changed them, but I don't understand. I guess the objection in the past then wasn't if you scored a touchdown immediately.
It
and
was
won.
if you got a field goal.
The objection was if you got a field goal. So I guess some objection, but whatever. I enjoy sudden death though. That's fun.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, it was. Yep, I agree with you. But I tell you, then after the game was over with, then they were interviewing Aaron Rodgers on up there. Did you see that on this?
No.
Okay, evidently it must have been just in Wisconsin, and he was. I tell you, you could see the fumes coming off the top of his head. He was really he was not the jolly old guy like he normally was. That somebody asked him a question, he looked at him with a stern look on his face and gave the guy the answer, and then he was not a happy camper.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers, along with Anquan Bolden from the 49ers and Thomas Davis from the Carolina Panthers, are the 3 finalists for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. So that will be an interesting thing.
Yep, it will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go back to John Fox and the Bears. Did you like the pick of John Fox?
I think it's a good pick. I think it's something that they need, and I listened to the press conference yesterday. Comes out like a coach, He talks the things you'd expect a coach to say, and it was interesting listening to it. And I just had it on radio, and I had it on the Score, and Pat Manley's on in the morning, in the midday with Matt Spiegel, and the first thing was, okay, as an ex-player, what do you think of him? He said, this is a guy I'd want to play with. Just listening to him there. He says this is a coach. This is a guy who comes across with the aura of a coach.
Yeah.
Not with whatever Dr. Death was coming through.
I have to say, you know what I'm curious about? With the record that he put up, what actually happened there between him and Elway in Denver to cause them to part company? Because at the same time,
and then on that press conference after that, John Elway, thanked himself for it. He says, "I'd like to thank John Elway for all the." He says, "I mean John Fox."
I have to say that Elway obviously kicked them out the door, but at the same time, he did have some praise for him, and had said that when he came, he brought the energy and the enthusiasm and the passion for the game that he wanted to see, and obviously it must have had something to do with X's and O's, which I don't think is that great a part of the game, but I guess it can be a factor, can be a huge factor if you have everything else in place and the X's and O's aren't right. Then that becomes an issue.
Yeah. It's interesting here, a Denver sports broadcaster, and it's a Tellender article, and sometimes Tellender, I used to think Tellender was a good writer. Sometimes I wonder now.
He has his moments.
Yeah, he does have his moments. His comments regarding him, regarding Fox, is he'll improve your defense, he'll get better use out of Matt Forte, but you'll get no creativity out of John Fox. He doesn't adjust well in games, and he gets out-coached most of the time. Of course, anybody who manages to win a playoff game with Tim Tebow, I don't know,
I think, that's obviously a criticism. He also went to the Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme.
Yeah. I mean, look at it that way.
Here's what I would say about, you brought up Tellender, and because obviously he's lukewarm at best about Fox. I was a Shanahan. I wanted to see Shanahan be hired, and but you know what? Shanahan's not hired. John Fox is a good coach, and I think Tellender was in the same camp I am in. He wanted to see Shanahan, but here's the deal. John Fox is your coach. We're hoping he's going to do a great job. He has done really good things in the places he's been in the past, and we're hoping that in addition to him being able to get a third team to the Super Bowl, that he'll go to the Super Bowl and win with this team.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a good choice. I would say this. Nothing. I don't know enough about the other people who were being interviewed. They were all very successful as assistants. But I think this is probably what the Bears needed more than another coordinator coming in to coach the team.
Yeah. I mean, this might be, going back to the Jerry Krause comment when he fired Doug Collins and replaced him with Phil Jackson. Well, he's not the one that's going to get us to point A.
Mm-hmm.
He got us to point B. And maybe John Fox is the placeholder for the next 4 years.
Well, you know what I was going to say, Jim, and it looks like my thoughts are not good on this one, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting with Gary Kubiak coming in to coach the Broncos, that a lot of Fox's assistants would come, and that we would then pass the torch on to Adam Gase if he's that good. But I see that they've already interviewed somebody else for the offensive coordinator job, so apparently Fox's it would be back further in one of the other articles.
Okay.
They mentioned I can't remember who it was that they had already interviewed. I think it might be. Do you have some of the little Bears tidbits? It might be toward the bottom there.
Chudzinski. Now that would be a good. That would be a good choice.
So
Chudzinski, I think, would be a good choice.
So obviously he's going to have a different staff, and that surprises me a little bit in terms of that, because where is his staff from Denver going to go? Are they going to stay with Kubiak? Is that what Elway's plan is?
He's already. I know he's already brought his special teams coordinator here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was hoping he'd bring most of his staff.
Yeah,
Why not?
Hey. I was a little surprised because the initial comment, just going back to regarding Gary Kubiak, was he turned down not only the Bears but a couple of other interviews because he said he was very content. He was very happy with what they had in Baltimore.
Well, Lou Holtz said that, and he had it written in his contract when he was at Minnesota, the only place that he would leave for would be Notre Dame. I think you got that same situation. Gary Kubiak was the backup to John Elway.
Elway and him are close.
And they're close, and they get along, and he probably coached
He was.
So
he did.
I would just say that's probably the one place that he would
go. When he got the Houston job, I think he was the offensive coordinator. I
think he was in Denver at the time.
I think he was. He was Elway's backup from 83 to 91 and was the offensive coordinator under Mike Shanahan from 1995 to 2005.
Mm-hmm. So that makes sense.
So it makes sense. It makes sense for him saying, "I want to go back home."
Yeah, I think that's probably the only place that he would probably have left Baltimore for. I'm pretty sure that he was making a good buck in Baltimore, and that was maybe one of the reasons he stayed there. But he's going to a team where, at least for 1 year, he probably coached one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And you know what? Elway's his buddy, so his boss is a pal, and that's a good, comfortable situation for him.
Sometimes that's what you need. Yep. The other comments I found interesting as I'm looking at this is Tellender's comment regarding somebody's criticism. Who was this? What was the guy's name again? Les Shapiro. He did not run crisp practices here, and his speeches before games were not inspirational.
Maybe somebody should tell Mr. Shapiro that professional coaches and probably most big-time college coaches do not have
don't need
inspirational speeches. In their forte.
The days of win one for the Gipper are long gone. Right. Yeah. The 2011 season with Tim Tebow as quarterback, a guy who couldn't throw, we'll give Fox that. He did a great job with an 8-8 team winning a playoff game, but he took a knee before the half in a playoff game with Manning and his quarterback and 3 timeouts in his pocket. He drove Elway crazy because he didn't hold himself, the players, or coaches accountable after losses. He'll be an improvement in Chicago, but he won't win a Super Bowl.
Why? You know what? The guy has had a pretty good record for somebody who's so screwed up.
Wow.
I'm surprised he could win a game.
Wow, how did he manage to go 46-17 there? Jeez.
Man.
Wow, I'm surprised they won a game.
You know what? Maybe the Bears' practices should have been less crisp. If they'd go 46-18 or whatever he was.
Well, all we've heard for the last the last 2 years is during football season is we had a good week of practice. Maybe they need to have a bad week of practice and
I don't know. Honestly, Jim, I have to tell you, from my own personal experience, I'll never forget when, I think it was my senior year, we played Arlington High School, which is no longer in existence, but they were the number 5 team in the area. And I have to tell you, we had a very iffy week of practice. There was no indication that we would go out and do anything but get killed. And we went out and played probably the game of our high school lives, and we ended up losing, but it was very respectable. I think we lost like 14-7 or something like that. So we were in the game all the way, and there's no telling. You know what? I have to laugh when sometimes a good practice is an indicator that you're going to do well, but sometimes it's not. I mean, it's just human nature if you think about it. You don't know. You wake up this morning, we're going to have a good broadcast. You wake up this morning, you don't feel like you're doing anything, we're going to have a blah broadcast. It's just the way things are.
Friday night during the basketball game when I said I was bored.
I can't give myself the make this an all-star broadcast pill just because I want to. It just doesn't work that way.
No, sometimes it just flows, and sometimes it just leaves.
Well, with us, it always just flows because this particular brand of whatever is flowing has been flowing with us for years.
I think the abbreviation for that is BS.
BS, right? So what do
you think? What do you think? I mean, overall, I know you like Shanahan for a particular reason. What do you think he's going to bring to this team?
Well,
what do you think John Fox is going to bring?
the best thing that he's going to bring is you're going to see somebody who is aware that he's coaching football in Chicago, which is not a place where you always can thrive with a super wide open offense. So you're going to see an emphasis on defense, which you need in Chicago because we're playing in the outdoors right next to the lake, and we're going to be playing in November and December. And you're going to see, as they said, Matt Forte, who's one of the best running backs in the game, is that emphasis is going to be there. So we're going to have that part of the game. And you know what? Whoever the quarterback may be, and I still think it's going to be Cutler.
I think it's going to be Cutler.
Benefit from,
I really think it's going to be Cutler for
is
one
going
more
to
year.
benefit from both of those things. So I see it as a positive. I think you would have got the same thing with Shanahan. But, if it's Fox, it's Fox. I think I like Shanahan. I was going to push my guy in my own mind. I mean, I wasn't pushing to anybody but myself, but that's okay.
You're a legend in your own mind.
But Fox is, you know what? You got a veteran coach. He's been successful. I'll tell you one thing. I can remember back into the 90s, and I was amazed when that year that I think it was Carolina and Jacksonville, having been in the league for only a short while, both made the playoffs. And I think Dom Capers might have been at Jacksonville.
I think Capers was still at Jacksonville.
And Fox, or maybe Capers was at Carolina. I think Fox might have taken Capers' place. But then later on,
no, Fox took George Seifert's place.
Okay, that's right.
Because Seifert went 1-15.
Okay, but I mean, this guy to go down to Carolina and have the success that he had, bringing a team to the Super Bowl. And, he didn't have he had arguably, I'd say Jake Delhomme, if I had make a quick comparison, I'd say either Jay Cutler is as good as Jake Delhomme. He might even be a little bit better ability-wise. So, I mean, the guy has done some really good things for people to for me to sit here, for anybody to sit here and try to knock down what he's accomplished as a coach is ridiculous. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good choice. And I also think he's a very good fit for the Chicago Bears. You'll see a tougher, more physical Bears football team. You'll see better blocking and tackling.
I think so. And the thing that I'm going to be most interested in seeing is first of all what sort of turnover is what the turnover is on this roster this year. But that's going to be a function of what Ryan Pace does. And how some of these players perform if they were on the roster this year as compared to how they might perform next year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There might not be as much roster turnover as you think, because I'm thinking about guys like John Bostic. I'm thinking about Christian Jones, Kasim Green, possibly.
Right.
I think that when you get people who come in there and see what these people's abilities are, and sort of make what you're doing fit the abilities of the players, which I think will happen. These guys could be a whole lot more productive than what you've seen them to be.
I think the example that I was thinking about when people started talking when this search was going on, that these players on this roster may not be as bad as we thought they were. I think the example I went back to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, was the 49ers under Singletary and under Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
The roster, I don't think, changed a whole lot between those 2 years. And you went from a 6-10 team to 10 wins, 12 wins under Harbaugh?
Remember last year, Jim? I don't know if it was on the show or just us talking, but you said to me, geez, Kansas City went from
2-14?
2-14 to a playoff team. And I said, I said, you know what? You just have a coach came in, and he looked at it with different eyes. And, he's got other people with him that work with him that are looking at it too. And I think that can make a huge difference. I think one of the things when you get a coach that doesn't have success doesn't mean that person doesn't know football. But I think you start to tighten up and you get tunnel vision, and that doesn't help you. I think somebody who's a successful coach doesn't get tight. I think they try to look and see where they can use their players the best, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. To say, the Bears have a less talented roster than another team. Did they have a less talented roster than the Seahawks? Definitely, but that doesn't mean we have no talent or that our talent cannot.
Our talent cannot be drawn
get
out.
Better,
Right? Yeah.
So that's some of this stuff is it's all nonsense. It's paper and television and radio talk, but these things can a lot of times be turned around pretty quick because you got different people with different perspectives, and in this case, you have a guy who's had success in other places coming in. I'm expecting now. Here's the other thing to think about, Jim. John Fox is going to be 60 on February the 8th.
We'll send him a birthday card.
So my whole feeling about this is he didn't come here to do a Cubs style makeover. Yeah. He's coming here to get this thing off the ground from not 2 years from now, not 3 years from now, but next year. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for him to do. And I think that's what he's looking to do.
I think so too. This is going to be fun off season. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a fun draft. I think we should go to the draft.
Where is that at?
The Auditorium Theater.
This year?
Yes.
Oh, well, we should go to. Now maybe Kevin can get us tickets for
maybe
that.
Maybe Kevin could get us press passes for that.
That would be all right.
I'd like that.
That would be fun.
Hey, John, you want to take a station break?
Right now.
Okay.
You are listening to Armchair Experts from the John Nevada Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, January the 21st. The year of our Lord is 2015 with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now, back to Jim and Rich.
All right. I was just looking to see if there was anything interesting on my Twitter feed right now, and there isn't. In case there was any big trades or signings or anything magical that might happen that we could actually break some news.
Mm-hmm. Wow, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we at?
All right, we done with the Bears for a while?
Sure.
Okay. What's wrong with the Bulls? Have they tuned Tibbs out?
Boy, I don't know. That's so good. They went sour all at once.
Man alive.
Well, I think one of the things.
I mean, Derek Rose dropped the F-bomb in a conversation to the press last night.
Really?
Yeah.
I think one of the things, though, is you starting.
But he did it quietly.
You're starting to see the fact that Noah didn't play last night, did he?
No.
So you're going to see Dunleavy's been out for a while.
Dunleavy's been out.
McDermott's not there. I mean,
not that he's a factor at this point.
But I mean, if he could be as much of a factor as Mirotic, because Mirotic has stepped in and played as a first-year guy. But I think
when Bairstow and Nazir Muhammad got into the game.
I think you're seeing. First off, I think Mirotic is not that he's hit a wall, but he was going really good, and now he's not going as well. Although, what's his name? Moore. Etuan Moore has played pretty well.
Yeah, he didn't do much last night.
But I think
Brooks had the bulk of the points off the bench last night. 16 points, and he played 18 minutes.
I think you're starting to see the just the fact that we don't have that much depth right now is going to hurt us a little bit. And I'm hoping that's all that it is. But I have to say, here's the other thing. Even when Joakim is healthy, if he's healthy at all this year.
Or less hurt than...
Less hurt. I think the fact that Pau Gasol is a great player, but not as good as a defender as Joakim. I think Derrick Rose, I don't know that he doesn't want to play defense, but he may not have the same physical abilities to play as well as he did in the past. So I think you have a couple things that might be working against us here, and I don't know. They're just going to have to work them out because this is the team we have. This is all we've got, and I sort of agree with Tibbs. You just got to sort of work through it because there's nothing else you can do. I mean, what else are you going to do? There's nobody to replace anybody with. There's no, you got the guys you got, and they're good guys, but I think you're dealing with a few guys who are playing hurt, which is hurting us, and a couple of young guys like Mirotic who've was taking a big step forward, maybe took a little bit of a step back now, and that's what it is.
The one comment that Rose made was that they're not communicating while they're on the floor to one another. Everybody's too quiet, and that's
huge.
playing. That's huge. That's playing a part of it.
Yeah,
a big part of it. He said, interesting quote here, trust plays a part, but communicating on defense in a team sport, I think communications is huge. We're quiet when we're out there, and it's leading to them getting easy baskets. We got to give a better effort. It seems like we're not even competing. It's bleeping irritating. So, okay, the question I asked then is what is he going to do about it? Looks like, I'm just looking. Looks like he must have sat out most of the fourth quarter last night. I didn't see the game. But as a leader of this team, if he has any leadership ability, what is he going to do about it?
Well, I think he's probably doing whatever my feeling is that he's the type of guy who's probably, he's having his say in the locker room. But I honestly think that you probably don't have exactly the same Derrick Rose, at least not for a whole game that you used to have.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. Again, last night, I don't know if it's you can say it's an excuse. But this was the third in 4 game. This was the third game in 4 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have 2 games off, and now they're going to face another 3 games in 4 nights.
See, here's the thing that
2 days off, rather. I said 2 games, 2 days off.
The thing that bothers me, and it was a win, and it probably wouldn't have been a win, but you had to have Pau Gasol step up and score almost 50 points against the Bucks to beat the Bucks. And if that's what we have to rely on to win games, then we got big problems.
Then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Then you got a problem because you're going to get nights like he had last night with 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
11 boards, but no, he had 11 points last night. Excuse me, Gibson had 10 points.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Some people were talking about, is he playing them too much?
I don't know if he's got much of a choice.
I don't think he's got much of a choice, but you know what? You look at the box score on the other team, and you see Kyrie Irving playing 40 points, and LeBron James playing 36 in the top 10 of minutes played.
Most guys would want to play as much as they possibly could. I know that he's the epitome of basketball players, but Michael Jordan, what did he sit out, a couple minutes a game? On a consistent basis? You didn't see him sit at all.
Jordan would play 38, 39, 40 minutes a game, so I don't know.
I don't buy that much. I think, on the other hand, there's another example, though, Jim, where it depends, I think, on the people you got. Popovich, Greg Popovich with the Spurs, is very cognizant of the fact that some of his really good players are older, and he does watch their minutes. So you could do it either way. There is no magic formula, I don't think.
No. I think some of it goes to philosophy, some of it goes to coaching philosophy, and some of it's going to go to your talent, your matchups.
Well, as Thibodeau said the other day in the paper, because that question came up about the minutes, and his response was, there's other ways of getting these guys some rest. He says it's just not about 40 minutes on the floor. He says we can do, and basically I'm paraphrasing, but practices can be easier, and I guess that happens sometimes. I put it this way: I don't think he's a guy who's out there with a whip in his hand and never paying attention to if his players are getting tired. Otherwise, that would just make him stupid, and I don't think he's stupid. So I think he's watching it in his own way, and I think again a lot of this is a press thing. And they're concerned with the minutes. to me, I see a guy who's an intelligent coach, and if he
I
thinks
do
they're
too.
fine, I would say they're fine.
I think the only time you could have ever criticized him for anything about having somebody out there when he shouldn't have been was the game when Rose hurt his knee the first time.
Then,
You had a game that was really out of hand at that point, and what is he doing on the floor?
I don't know what was Tom Brady doing on the field when the Patriots were winning 45-7 last.
He got out with 2 minutes to play.
Yeah, and he was still he almost was hurt when he threw a bomb with about 3 or 4 minutes left to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you know what?
That's
Some of
true.
these-
That's true. It could have happened anyway.
Let's put it. I'll put it to you this way: a lot of the guys who are successful coaches have that pedal to the metal sort of attitude. You saw that with Urban Meyer in the national championship game. You see that with Belichick. You see that with Pete Carroll. You see that with Thibodeau. So I don't know. Is it? You could argue either way.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they're tired. They're professional athletes, and part of the deal about getting their rest is on them. What are they doing when they're off the court?
Right.
So what are you looking at, Jim? You trying to find out whether we had any big transactions?
No, I was trying to look and see if
the Cubs signed Daniel Bard to a minor league
I
contract.
was trying to look and
If
see.
you don't know who Daniel Bard is, he's a pitcher.
I was looking to see if the line had changed on Seattle, New England.
Yeah, because you were saying 3.5 that you thought
It's a
Patriots.
pick.
I don't.
It's
I
a
could see
pick.
why.
I could see why now. My first inclination was say, maybe 3.5 points. Mm-hmm. And the game went on at pick. I don't know what to do there, and
So
the over/under is 49. So.
I want to. Jim texted me. This is not unusual. Jim texts me when he gets news, and he gives me the scoops. So I'm up on him. But last night he texted me that the Cubs made a trade.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there thinking,
Who's
I've
texting?
heard of Dexter Fowler, but I don't know much about him, to be honest. I know the name. And he was with the Astros. Did he used to play? Was he with the Rockies ever?
No. His major league career, I believe, has been with the Astros.
So what kind of?
No, he did come from somebody else. He's 28 years old. He only played 1 year with the Astros. I'll tell you what. Let me look while you talk amongst yourselves.
Here's the thing. I
got to look up his career. I got to look up his record, and I didn't pull it up last night.
When I got here and I looked through the paper real quick, this is a trade this trade is not about Chris Bryant becoming the third baseman. This trade is about winning. So now are Epstein and Hoyer now convinced by Anthony Rizzo and all the other goofs that this is going to be a contending team this year, or what?
I think it has the potential.
Thanks,
I think it has the potential to be a contending team. Do I think it's
Thank you.
as Anthony Rizzo says? Is this team going to? Yeah, he played. By the way, he did play with the Rockies.
I thought I heard that name somewhere.
Yeah. He only played 1 year with Houston. 276 last year with Houston, 8 home runs, 35 runs batted in, on base percentage 375. Strikes out a lot, 108 strikeouts, but everybody strikes out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, 263, lifetime hitter 271, 366 on base percentage, 419 slugging. The one thing, he is in. This is the final year before. He can become a free agent after this season, and the Cubs are going to inherit the arbitration hearing with him.
So in other words, he's going to be here for 1 year.
I'm thinking that.
I'm pretty sure he is.
I'm thinking that.
Because
Who's down in the minors that can come up and play center field after that?
Well, I don't care about that. I saw that where Madden seems to have some say so in this, and they're speculating that he sees Alcantara as his super sub, a la Ben Zobrist in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what? I don't care. You know what? All things being equal, and I understand that this guy's a better glove than Alcantara. I'd rather see Alcantara out there getting the experience somewhere. than this guy coming and playing for a year and moving on.
So what I'm thinking also is you're not going to see Bryant come north with the team.
Well, if you get a chance to really peruse that article, Jim, which I scanned it real quick,
Yeah.
they're even saying Mike Olt might be back in the picture at third.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I can see Olt starting the season there because there is some number of days that they would really need to keep Bryant in the minors so they can keep another year's control over him.
Well, all I could say is if Fowler
So
struck
maybe-
out
maybe
100 and some times, and
Yeah.
Olt is going to play third, and Baez is going to play second,
Ooh.
that you better come out no matter what the weather at Wrigley Field with your windbreaker, because there's going to be a heck of a breeze out
Ooh,
there. And
boy.
John, I almost said it again, but I said heck.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be...
John just held the
Whoa.
cross up.
Oh, my goodness.
John just held the cross up. I don't know.
What a mighty Lord we serve.
There you go. They got a center fielder. This is the way I look at it. They got a center fielder. They got to start. They got a leadoff man.
Yeah.
Is it a solution? I don't know. Is it going to get? Is it going to get Chris Bryant into the lineup sooner? Probably. It's not going to get him in there on opening day.
Well, the interesting thing about this is if what the papers are saying they want, and I don't know if this is not if this is right, but if Madden wants Alcantara to play the role of the super sub and play a lot of different positions, I mean, we had Louis Valbuena, who was a pretty good, productive hitter and a good guy who could play a few different positions.
And they had my guy Emilio.
We had Bonifacio at one time, but I mean, Madden wasn't there. But I'll tell you what, I would take either of those two guys over the guy we got. I mean, that's just my initial reaction.
Yeah.
And who was we
got Tommy
Straley, right?
We traded Straley. Now remember another one that could be in the mix. We could have Tommy LaStella playing second base here.
Oh,
You maybe have Alcantara get some time at third. Javi Baez could get some time at third.
What I don't understand is, now, this is starting to get me riled up a little bit about the Cubs again. Why doesn't Alcantara play the position that he plays, which is second, and then Baez could at least play the other side of the infield at third, because that would make more sense than having the gun he's got at second. There's still doing some things that confuse me. But now, did you see the other day where they said that yesterday or last year when Baez was up that this was just they wanted to show him the error of his ways by letting him hit 168 and striking out however many times he struck out.
168 times.
And this way they figured he'd listen to the hitting coach, and the hitting coach said, though, there's nothing wrong with his swing. It's all, which I buy into, by the way. Malley, I think, is the new hitting coach, whoever he is. But he did say it's more about pitch selection, which I would agree with. So they're saying there's nothing really wrong with his swing or anything like that, but he has to be more selective with what he swings at, which I would have to agree with. The big thing, the danger you come into there with any hitter, except for one who's really, really good and knows exactly what they want to do, is you don't want to relate that to going deep in the count. My contention has always been, if your pitch, and you know what your pitch is the first pitch, you better be ready to hit that pitch, because there's no guarantee that the fifth or sixth pitch is going to be the pitch you like. So, yes, is it good to know what pitch you can handle? Yeah, it definitely is. But you also got to be ready, and you can't be saying, well, let that pitch I can handle go by for strike one or ball one, whatever the case may be, and think it's going to come around again, because it's likely not.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be ready. I mean, and that's a danger, because when you have a hitter who does not have the game down pat at his mind, they're going to start playing games with the count, and that becomes, to me, a real iffy situation. Does that make any sense to you, Jim?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
it does.
No,
It does.
as I'm talking here,
It
I'm
does.
wondering if I'm making sense to people who are listening.
It does. It does.
Okay.
I had a question, something I was going to say, and that thought just went. So.
Was it about hitting?
Yeah.
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 Oh.
Yeah. Now, a couple other things that they're talking about, Cubs are talking about, they're still shopping Wellington Castillo. And they could move a pitcher like maybe Travis Wood.
Well,
because they're looking they're looking for payroll flexibility, because I think I'm wondering if they're going to try to give this guy I'm wondering if they're expecting the arbitrator to to award him $10.8 million.
Who, Fowler, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you just made me think of one of the things that I'm really, again, I think overall, has Epstein and Hoyer done a good job of remaking this team? I think they have. But when you get to a situation like we have with our catching situation here, you bring in Montero, who I guess is a little bit better hitter than Castillo, but I don't know how much. Can't be that much.
And he
frames well. But then the guy
that bothers you. He frames pitches. Really.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. Now you bring in Lester's buddy David Ross, who's going to give you almost no offense on the right side. And the thing that even bothers me more is now every club in the majors knows that Wellington Castillo is. You're not going to keep three catchers, so you really have knocked his trade value down by signing Ross. I mean, is Ross such a hot commodity that we couldn't have maybe dealt Castillo from strength,
from a position of strength,
as opposed to now where we have to almost have to take the other team's deal because. Yeah. I mean, Castillo's a good catcher, but it's not like everybody's going to be salivating to get him. Yeah, would they want him? Sure. But now they're going to want him at their price, not your price.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't like that.
You're dealing from weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing from weakness then. You're not dealing from strength.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So, well, pitchers and catchers report in about, let's see, what's today's date? The 20th? Pitchers and catchers report, I think, what is it, February 19th? Something like that?
That's the date that I think I heard, yeah, February 19th. So it's not too far away.
No, it's not too far away.
Less than a month away.
Less than a month away.
I always look forward to that. I always celebrate the beginning of baseball season and sort of feel bad that it ends.
My first sign of spring is always seeing those four magic words, pitchers and catchers report. That's I say, there's hope.
The people who will argue that, say, football or any of the other games are the best game, I think are whistling in the dark because the thing that nobody can ever argue that baseball has over everybody else is that literally the game is not over till the last man is out, as opposed to if you're down 20 points with a minute left in football or basketball, you are done. The game is over even though there's time left. In baseball, it's never over. You could be down 15 runs with one out left, and you still have a shot because the clock doesn't run out on you, and that's a good thing.
That's right.
I'd also say the one thing I did want to say about baseball, Jim, is I noticed that I think it's the minor leagues are going to go to a pitch clock. And we have this debate with the guys I have coffee with, and I got to tell you, baseball has not been interfered with by TV as much as obviously football and basketball have. So it's still pretty much the game that you see. The reason the games are lengthened, and people are mad about that, is because of all the pitching changes. It has nothing to do with TV. Okay, the TV gets their commercial in, but it's not TV motivated. But I think what I hate to hear about things like pitch clocks is baseball's a game that's meant to be you're meant to sit there and enjoy it in the nice weather. If you want to have an adult beverage, that's fine, or whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not meant to be hurried along.
No,
I mean it's not any other sport. So you know what? So what? A guy takes a little longer. He adjusts his batting gloves between every pitch. Is it annoying to some people?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's part of the game. Or a pitcher dawdles around because for whatever reason, he doesn't want to throw the ball. That's part of the game. Not every batter and not every pitcher does that, and it's just part of the whole experience.
I keep telling people. I've told people over the years. I said that they don't understand it. I said baseball is a very cerebral game.
It is very.
You're thinking two batters ahead.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're thinking about and I'm going back a few years, why a pitching change might need to be made because of a particular situation. Now it's just because, well, let's start our pitch 6, we got to bring our 7th inning guy in, then we bring our 8th inning guy in. Now it's just push a button.
Well, think about this, Jim, though. You or I or John or anybody who knew baseball could probably legitimately, I don't say we would do it well, but baseball is out there for you to see, okay? So do you know when you might want to bunt, or do you know when you might want to bring in a new pitcher or have a pitcher warm up? But whereas in football or basketball, I'll use the word hidden. It's not really hidden, but there's a lot of other things that are probably in baseball too, but not to the same degree, I think, as in football or basketball. There's a lot of factors that come in to play in the game. So could you call a play in football? Yeah, that would seem the right play, but you would really have to know a lot about who your personnel is, who the other team's personnel is, in order to do it well. And when I say that baseball is all out there for you to see, it is pretty easy to see what a baseball player's strengths or weaknesses is, whereas it's not as easy to see a football player or basketball player.
It's not as easy to see, and I mean, you take a point. You call a play, it's going to be the perfect in football. You call a play, it's going to be the perfect play for that particular situation. The quarterback comes to the line and he looks at the defense and he goes, "Oh, they know it's the perfect play I'm calling in this situation." Right. So he'll change the play.
He changes it, yeah.
Yeah. To try to counter that. I mean, I remember, a classic thing. I think it was a Cowboys story I heard, Cowboys and the Giants, when Meredith was the quarterback. Meredith comes to the call to play, comes to the line. They go there, and you hear, Sam Huff say, he said, "They're going to sweep to the right." Huff, Meredith calls a different play, and he says, "It's going to be a screen." And you hear Huff yell, "It's going to be a screen pass." And then you just hear Meredith go, "Yeah, timeout."
Yeah.
He actually said something else, but John would have the cross up. Yeah. John held the cross
Jim,
up.
I have to tell you, and we only have 5 minutes or a little less. We've stumbled onto a point that or a part of the games that I really am adamant about. I would love to see. I think you would see a much more entertaining game in whatever sport if the coaches coached their players to the point where they could play the game. Guys like John Wooden would be a good example. Vince Lombardi might be another good example. And in football, let the quarterback or whoever calls the defensive signals on the field call the signals. In baseball, don't let the guy who's sitting in the dugout and has an absolutely horrible view of what's going on call the pitches. Let the catcher call the pitches. Why are these guys? I guess I understand why they're doing it, because now they're making big bucks as opposed to the guys who came before them were not making big bucks. It wasn't as, you didn't want to lose your job, obviously, but there wasn't as much at stake financially. But I don't see where it really kills me. I was talking to Mike Lobb and Mike Strawn one day, and they both coach softball, and they're good softball coaches, very good, very knowledgeable guys. And they were talking about calling pitches for their catcher. These are basically high school kids, sometimes grade school kids. I said, "Guys, I'm totally disagree with you on that." And they said, "Well, what are you talking about?" I said, "I think the pitch or the catcher should be calling the pitches, well, even if they're like a sophomore in high school or a 8th grader." I said,
you got to learn.
There's not that many pitches to call, guys.
No.
Your guess, and it's only a guess. Your guess is as good as theirs. That's
right.
And that's not to put you down or anybody else down, but that's just the way it is. It's a guessing game.
That's right.
And whose guess is better? Who's to say that the kid who's standing there right by the batter doesn't see something that you don't see?
Yeah.
So that's my take on that.
Yeah.
I just it aggravates me to see the eyes in the sky and the football games. Here's a guy who's sitting, Lord knows how far away from the field, and look at it this way: he's always a play late. He's looked at the last play, and now he's sending down a play based on either the
what
last
they did
play
or the
what
play
he's-
before.
Yeah. So, I mean, where the quarterback has an idea of the flow of the game, he's seeing how everything is working out. Even if personnel changes on the other side of the ball, he's aware of all that. I mean, to me, it makes no sense to have a guy who's way up there calling the plays when you got a guy right there on the field who's seeing everything that's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's
why we watch the games and we're not coaching the games, by golly.
That's true.
I don't know. I'd say we'd talk about the Patriots' deflated balls, but that sounds like a personal issue that they should be dealing with.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if John would do anything. I don't think he's paying attention there.
He's not.
John
Look at
didn't listen to me. I got one past him.
Jim, you snuck one in there, buddy.
I snuck one in there.
So is there anything you want to say in a minute?
No, nothing.
That you want to say?
Nah.
Hey, I have to ask you. I'll go on. I was on Yahoo last night, and I saw that Lindsey Vonn was trending. I know Lindsey Vonn is a skier. I think she's a downhill skier.
Yes. She won
But,
her.
did she?
She
what
won.
happened with her?
She won her 63rd World Cup victory
Oh wow,
when she won the Supergiant Slalom Monday in Italy.
that's impressive.
And I think the big deal there was, and I don't understand it, but Tiger surprised her there, and Tiger had a front tooth missing.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a leftover from
So
Ellen.
Lindsey Vonn is his girlfriend.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was going to say, Jim, do you remember though? What's really impressive about that is Lindsey Vonn is obviously an American skier, right?
Right.
I mean, there was a time when we were kids, especially, and even well into adulthood, where United States skiers were very back of the pack. I mean, they were there competing, but they very rarely won. And now
Right.
you're saying Lindsey Vonn has won a record
63rd
downhill, is it?
She won. Let's see. One day after tying former Austrian great Anne-Marie Moser-Prohl for the all-time women's record for World Cup victories, U.S. star Lindsey Vonn set a new standard with her 63rd by capturing the Supergiant Slalom with a time of 1 minute 27.03 seconds in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy. Vonn won the downhill at the same venue on Sunday. So
Wow.
that's
So
a pretty impressive record.
That is.
Wow, that's the first time we've ever talked downhill skiing on this show. This
Yeah,
is
and I just thought to myself, we don't talk very much about women in sports either, but I don't know that that's a trend that's going to stop. But that's
yeah, no. I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah. I just happened to see that the other
I'm
day.
glad you brought that up. All right, we won't do a game before the Super Bowl, will we? Or we won't do a show before the Super Bowl. Any picks?
Geez, toss a coin. I think
It's a pick. I mean, the game's a
I'll
pick.
tell you what. I personally, I want to see the Patriots win, just because I like them a little better than the Seahawks. Not that I dislike the Seahawks, but I think the Seahawks are going to win.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great ball game, and I'm going to take the Patriots in this one just because.
Okay.
Just because. So it'll give us something to do. And if I decide to go to the window on that, let's see. The over-under is 49.
Now they're playing in Arizona. Is that
Yes.
is that an enclosed stadium? or-
That is one that they can open and close the roof.
Okay.
So we'll see what the
So the weather conditions will that won't come into play in that
No.
at all, which
No.
is a shame because I'm really a fan of the old days when they used to play games and the championship games often were in less than ideal conditions, and I loved
I
it.
know. I miss that stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun. That was fun to watch that stuff. All right. Okay. I think we've had enough. Have you had enough? John?
I have.
John's had enough.
John, it definitely has.
John's had enough of us, so I think it's time for us. No, John says no, but yeah, we've had enough.
No,
I
but
can't
yeah.
think of anything else to talk about today, so let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening. We will be back again in a couple of weeks, I guess. Basketball tonight.
Yes. Girls
Since-
versus Regina.
Girls versus Regina. I'm glad you all reminded me of that because I wouldn't have showed up, even if I would have looked at my calendar. All right, thanks for listening. We are out of here. We're Taillights.
You know, when you
You have been listening to Armchair Experts from the John Levita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, January the 21st, the year of our Lord 2015, with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita, audio engineered by James Rohde, radio station manager is Kevin Zeflik, the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Seconda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Tuesday, January the 20th, the year of our Lord, 2015. Until next time, be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois.